Over the last 4 years that I've been in business, I have tested just about every tactic imaginable to book sales calls, increase conversions, increase inquiries, and ultimately drive as many sales as possible into our business. And what I found is that beyond the tactics and strategies, there's actually 5 non-negotiable habits that I've had to implement into our business to create this process that allows us to book anywhere from 25 and beyond sales calls per week. And of course, that lead flow level allows us to generate around $500,000 per month. Now, if you're wondering why I'm qualified to speak on this, beyond doing this for my own business, we've mentored thousands of businesses now that have scaled beyond 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, and even into 7 figures. And one of the core principles that we touch on is the sales process and infusing these different habits into their business that's going to allow them to scale successfully and again continue to lead with integrity through their sales process. And this is our sales process. Habit number 1 is to book sales calls when you have the most energy and the most capacity. Now, what I personally like to do when I was taking calls, I would make sure that I blocked off certain sections during different days that I knew that I was going to be more high energy, more well rested, and able to effectively show up on these calls. The reason for that is because, especially with what we do, but I'm sure with what you do as well, people are coming to you from often a very vulnerable place. There's things that they're struggling with. They have goals that they're not sure how to meet. Oftentimes they're very uncertain of what the next steps are going to look like or should look like for them. And so it's really important that you're able to show up and give them your full attention and be on your A game when it comes to giving advice and creating an environment where they can really open up to you so that you can ethically determine whether or not this is somebody who would truly be a fit to work with you. Of course, when it comes to taking sales calls, your tonalities, your body language, all of those things are so important. And so if you are showing up in a space where you're not really able to be present, you're not able to control those things and be more intentional with your communication, you are likely not going to have a very high closing rate. Now, the second thing that's going to be very important is to ensure that you are consistently analyzing your sales process. So this is going to look like, number 1, really clearly mapping out what your sales process is going to look like, what needs to be included in that system, and then also having a way to track and analyze the data at each of those different benchmarks so that you can assess and determine if there's something that is not working within your sales process. For example, if you're noticing that you have a lot of call bookings, but people aren't showing up, that tells me that you have a gap that is causing your show rate to decrease. If we were just looking at revenue and we didn't understand where those metrics were throughout those different places of the sales process, all we would know is we're not making enough sales. And so we might try to focus on messaging or our content or running ads, when in reality, we have the lead flow, we have the traffic that we need, we're just not getting them to show to the calls. So we can assess that gap within your process and fix it without having to rework everything that you're doing. Something else that's important to know is that you likely want to have a different process for hotter and colder leads. So for us, because we don't do any cold outbound, we don't do ads, we don't do anything like that, all of our leads come from organic content marketing. So our colder leads are typically people that are coming through TikTok because we have a lot of videos go viral. So a lot of people find us there. And same with Pinterest. People find us there through searchability. Then we want to bring them along the process. So what the process of nurturing those colder leads that just come from a viral video is going to look like is going to be a lot different than somebody who I've had DM voice note conversations with. They've been following me on Instagram and watching my story every day for a month. That process is going to be a lot different for one lead versus another. Habit number 3 is just having conversations with the people in your audience. Having conversations with people in your audience is going to allow you to determine a couple things. Number 1, what types of buyers are the prominent buyer types in your audience? So are they more analytical? Are they driver? Are they more expressive? What does that look like for you? And you're also going to pick up on their tonalities, their communication styles, the words that they're using to describe their problems to you, because you can do a lot of market research, but you need to be able to speak in their language. I always recommend having conversations in the DMs, voice noting back and forth with people, and creating genuine connections is going to be so powerful, not only for your marketing, but also for your sales process. This is what is going to allow you to seamlessly bring people in from your organic marketing into your sales funnel, because when people feel seen and understood by you, that is what's going to differentiate you from your competition. Which brings me into habit number 4, which is really fully understanding your target market and doing market research consistently. You need to know their fears, their desires, and their symptoms. What are they going through right now in the moment? And that's not necessarily what the root cause of the problem is that you solve. Oftentimes people aren't aware of that. They're only aware of what they're currently experiencing. I use this example frequently, but I think it's really helpful. If you have a sore throat, right? That's your symptom. If you go into the doctor, you are going because you need a diagnosis. You don't know what the problem is. You only know what your symptom is. So we need to identify for your audience, what is that sore throat for them? Because you can then create that connection in their mind through your content, and that is instantly going to build that trust, that loyalty. Refer to it as the norm of reciprocity in sales psychology. There's a lot of different ways to build that norm of reciprocity, but giving people that aha moment and triggering that dopamine release when they get that connection made for them between their symptom and their diagnosis is so incredibly powerful. And that's how you're actually going to attract people that are aligned with you. I talk a lot about sales psychology, and often I'm met with some resistance because people feel that it's sleazy or manipulative, or that you're forcing people to do things. But in reality, it's actually so much more ethical than any other type of marketing, because you're not attracting people who are not activated by what you're saying. You're not selling to people who do not need what you're talking about, because those people are not going to be attracted by your marketing. So our process is to, number 1, attract with outreach content using outreach platforms like TikTok, Pinterest, and even Instagram Reels. We then nurture, and we do this by creating immersion content where we're immersing them in our world. We're helping them to understand our personal story, give context as to how we know the things we know, and showcase the behind the scenes of what it's like to work with us. It's the same reason it's referred to as future pacing, but it's the same reason that people or realtors will stage a house before showing it. It's because they want to allow you to see yourself living there. It's the same thing with your offers and with creating content. You want to create that future pacing where you're pulling back the curtain and people can see what it's like to work with you. They can see you running your programs. They can see you walking the talk. They can see you having the life that you actually talk about. And that creates so much loyalty and trust. And then finally, you want to convert. This is where that agitational content and also that solution lens content is going to come in, where you're basically speaking to, here's the outcome that you want and here's how we can provide it for you. So you're positioning your offer or service as the solution, or what is going to bridge the gap between where they are and where they want to be. So having those 3 phases throughout your organic content is going to bring people in, nurture them, and then convert them into a lead or an inquiry, which is where you then bring them into your sales process. This final habit is tracking and analyzing data. This is absolutely crucial, because if you don't understand where the gaps are in your process, you are never going to be able to improve them. You will not be able to scale. All scaling is looking at the data and tweaking things based off of what the numbers are telling you. Let's say, for example, your email marketing. Is the email getting delivered? Is it getting opened? Is it getting responses? Is your Loom video getting opened? Or the value add that you have inside of that email, is it getting used? Is it getting viewed? Is it getting responses? If people aren't even opening your email, that tells you what the problem is right there. You need to improve your subject line, your preview, to increase that open rate. If people are opening the email, but then they're not taking any action, that tells us there's a conversion issue within the email. Whereas if we didn't have that data, we'd probably be trying to switch up the social media content and hire a social media manager when that isn't even the problem. If you have people that are showing up to calls, but you're finding that your close rate is really low with this one objection, that tells us that we need development in that specific area to overcome that objection. That doesn't mean we need to throw out our entire sales process and rework all of our marketing. So having that data to make decisions is ultimately the only way that you're going to grow. Otherwise, you're just going to be flying blind. You're not going to know what to fix. If you'd like to learn more about our advisory offers and how we help people just like yourself scale with organic social media that's backed by sales psychology so you don't have to run any ads, be sure to check out our links in the description below so you can binge, get inside our world, and get connected with us. Now, be sure to leave a comment below if you have any questions about any of this, or feel free to slide into my DMs. I love having conversations about this with founders because it's so crucial to their business. If you would like somebody else to audit your business and really look at where all of the gaps are, this is something we need to have a conversation about. So again, I would go to the link below or go to my DMs and let's have a conversation about fixing this for you. Thanks for being here. Bye.